Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today we want to talk about the importance of having a carbon monoxide detector in your home.
Yes.
Because ours went off last night.
Last night at 1:30 in the morning.
So before we get into that, there's just a few things we want to go over about carbon monoxide. Its abbreviation is CO. And it is known as the silent killer because you can't see it, you can't smell it, and you can't hear it.
Like a ninja.
Yeah. So according to the National Fire Protection Association, a CO detector should be in every bedroom and every level in your house, including the basement and attic.
Mm.
Symptoms of CO poisoning are dizziness, headache, nausea, vomiting, rapid heartbeat, shortness of breath, disorientation. CO detectors last for between 5 and 7 years. Some sites will push it to 10 years.
And one of the main symptoms is the Fred Sanford heart attack. Because that's what I had when that thing went off at 1:30 in the morning. I was like, Elizabeth, I'm coming.
Who's
Karen's like, who's Elizabeth? I don't know.
So all CO detectors have a manufacturing date on the back of it. And that's not the expiration date. It's usually abbreviated MFG date. And it will have the date and the year that the product was made. And on the front of it, some will say, if this alarm does sound, go outside and then call 911. And so this was the one that we had. And this one, I mean, you can't really read it, but it does say to go outside and call 911 if the alarm goes off. Now, the manufacturing date, this one was January 23rd, 2019. And because you can barely see it because it's the same color, anytime we get a smoke detector or a carbon monoxide detector, I just write the manufacturing date right there. So that way you know that you have 5 to 7 years before this will expire. So, like he said, around 1:30 a.m. this morning, June 12th, 2024, we were sleeping soundly and peacefully. And then just like that, we both just about hit the ceiling, jumping out of that bed.
Yeah, because it's a loud pitch. It's like beep, beep, beep.
It was so loud. And then you also had like the lights right here flashing.
Yeah.
And this is on my side of the bed. So when we both jumped up, I noticed the lights, and so he thought maybe it was a smoke detector. And I'm like, no, it's the carbon monoxide.
Yeah, it's a weird sound.
So I unplugged it and I pressed the reset button thinking that it would reset, and this thing would not reset, and it is loud.
Yeah, and the thing is, we have it plugged in by our closet. So when Karen ran to the closet, I'm like, what are you going to the closet for? I'm like, we need to get out of here. Because I'm thinking like old school stuff. I'm thinking because we went to, Mount Weather, I'm thinking these Splinter Cell operatives are like busting into our house and we're going to die.
Oh, the adventures we have. So when I unplugged it, I'm trying to reset it and it's not resetting. And so it's so loud. We smother this under the pillow so I can try to get the backing off of this to get the battery out. And then we open the bedroom windows, the living room windows, the kitchen windows. And then we kind of just sat there for a minute debating if we should call 911, because what if this was like a false alarm? Because we didn't have the heaters running. We don't have a gas stove. We didn't have a buddy heater on. I mean, nothing that would give off carbon monoxide. So we were like, should we call 911? But because this thing said, if this alarm sounds, call 911, we were like, all right, let's, give them a call. So I call, And I tell the operator, yes, our CO detector went off. Can you send somebody down to check it? And then I kind of turned into my grandmother for a minute because I was like, when you send them, can you tell them not to put the sirens on? Because
So the whole neighborhood doesn't wake up.
I don't want to wake up the whole neighborhood. And my grandma used to do that all the time. Anytime she would have to call an ambulance or something, she was full-blooded Italian. She was straight from Italy. She had a, broken English accent, and she would always tell the 911 person, tell him not to put the music on. I don't want to disturb anybody. She would always call it music.
The music.
So by the time I got off the phone with 911.
Well, one thing that 911 did tell us.
Yes.
They said, don't open any windows. Because that's one of the first things we did was we opened the windows just in case.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, keep the windows closed. Get out of the house.
Yeah. And I was like, and I did say, well, why? Because, I just wanted to know. And they're like, because when we send somebody in there, they're going to want to detect CO. And if you have the windows open, it's going
gone
out. So I was like, that makes sense. But because we were debating whether to call because we didn't wake up with any symptoms of headaches or anything. So that's why we were like, should we really, call? But the cop showed up really fast. He was there like within a minute because we live in a small town. So, but it did take about 10 minutes for the fire department to get there. And I thought that was a pretty slow response considering that we don't live in a big
down
city.
The street.
I mean, we can walk there. We're 2 blocks away from the fire department. I'm
like, a good thing our house wasn't burning because it'd be gone by now.
Yeah. But then again, I was thinking like maybe the operator had said, this is not it's not a rescue, it's a CO. Everybody's out of the house. So maybe, they were able to take their time a little bit more. I don't really know how it works, but I just thought it was kind of a slow response, but maybe that's why. But they asked us all the questions, are you sure that this alarm, wasn't chirping? And I'm like, no, it was not a chirp. It was not a chirp. I'm like, we jumped to the ceiling because usually when your battery is dying, it'll do that little chirp to let you know. So they asked when we bought it and, just to make sure it wasn't expired. And we're like really sticklers about our smoke alarms and our CO detectors. We're up to date on them. We're always changing the batteries. And I always label, when we got them, by the date so I could actually see it. It's visible. It's there. And this is all part of emergency preparedness. So we encourage you guys to check your detectors as well, your smoke detectors, your CO detectors. Make sure you have multiple fire extinguishers as well, because you are your own first responder.
Yep.
While you're waiting for help to arrive. And it did turn out that they didn't detect any CO.
Nothing.
And said that it might just have been like a faulty device. Or an old battery or dust that built up and got into the detector. So we've had this for 5 years, which, like I said, it goes from 5 to 7 years. But this was the first time it ever went off, so I don't really think it was faulty, and it definitely didn't have a dead battery in it. Maybe dust got in because, there's little slits on each side, and then maybe it just set it off because they didn't detect anything. So we apologize to all the firemen and the police officer for, waking them up in the middle of the night for a false alarm. But you know what? They were like, you guys did the right thing, and they'd rather show up to something like this than something worse. So the only thing that I want from you guys is drop a comment because we're looking into getting a carbon monoxide meter. That way we can actually, detect carbon monoxide ourselves, before we would call like 911. And also, so if you do know a good one, let us know, drop it in the comments. But meanwhile, we went out and bought a new one. And it's bigger, and this one actually has a digital display. It's a plug-in with battery backup. And actually it has a end of life warning, so it'll let
Yeah.
you know before this thing dies.
Definitely worth spending the extra money for
Yep,
this
this was about 38, maybe $40 with tax.
at Lowe's.
Yep, we got it at Lowe's. So we hope you enjoyed this video. Be safe and peace out.
Peace.